Hey anime friends, welcome to part 2 of this anime recap. We're covering Saekano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. Make sure to watch part 1 if you haven't already. Let's pick up where we left off. While Yuta was outside thinking about what to do now, once Tomoya was out, Yuta went in and showered as well. When she came out, Tomoya got flustered and wanted to run out of the room, but Yuta stopped him and gestured for him to come to the bed. Well, this is taking a very surprising turn. Yuta asked why he came to the town, and he said that he came looking for her. He then asked why Yuta was here, and she told him it was to gather material for her new book. Tomoya jumped up and was about to get all nerdy again, but Yuta wasn't having none of that. She said that was enough talk about her. Finally, someone is applying some riz. Let's go, Yuta. Uta rested her head on his shoulders, and it should have been a good night from then on, but Tomoya just doesn't know how to read a room. He stood up and asked her to make a creator out of him. He then proceeded to explain why he didn't like her plot. It was because even though the characters found love and defeated the century-long evil to be with each other, the girl was never truly happy, because she abandoned her current life to finish her old one. Tomoya wanted the players to have the option of choosing the current life over the old one, and so they stayed up all night changing the script and moving sheets of paper. By morning, Yuta got ready to leave for work. She woke Tomoya up and thanked him for the wonderful night. She even tells him that he now has what it takes to be a creator, and she looks forward to working with him. Before she left, though, she sent a picture to Tomoya. It was one of her naked, and right beside him in the bed. Tomoya seems to have all the luck on his side. Sawamura invited Tomoya over to her house. She needed help with one of her 18+ designs, and she was running out of time. Tomoya was very much against it, but he had no choice in the matter. He was the only one she could turn to since he was an anime freak, and he was also partly to blame for her situation because of the extra work he had given her for their game project. Tomoya finally agreed, but it was because she was doing a continuation of one of the anime he had on his blog. He asked her what the plot was going to be like, and she told him the main character was going to be clapping the cheeks of his childhood friend. And to help her out, she wanted them to act it out so she had material to work with. Personally, I like this idea. It's just a shame she gave it to the most oblivious and undeserving guy. It was immediately evident that Tomoya had never clapped cheeks before, not like that was hard to figure out in the first place. He kept interrupting the scenario with random thoughts, and at some point he just straight up screamed like he was scared or something. Even fictional Kitty scares this dude. He's hopeless. They finished eventually, and Sawamura got what she needed. The next day we see Tomoya saying he needed to confess something he's been holding back. And no, it wasn't his feelings, it was the fact that Katu changed her hairstyle. Apparently the main heroine shouldn't do that so casually. While he was scolding her, the most unexpected thing ever happened. A cute girl came up to him and rubbed her melons all over his chest, saying she had finally returned to him. Did I misjudge Tomoya? Is he actually a god-tier Rizzler? Well, it turns out that wasn't really the case. The girl, Izumi, was his junior from elementary school. She grew up with him, but she moved with her family 3 years ago, and now she's back. She came by to invite him to a school event she's having. She's also a manga artist now too, and she owes it to Tomoya for showing her the world of anime and dating sims. He bought her the first console and game she ever played. He didn't even think of it as him doing it specially for her, he just did it so she could like gaming. He could have done it for any other girl looking to watch anime too. This dude has the wrong priorities. While they were walking home from seeing Izumi, Sawamura started her tsundere act again, claiming she wasn't angry. It's like this girl doesn't realize that Tomoya doesn't care enough to be bothered by it. They kept going back and forth when suddenly a guy appeared in front of them. They ignored him and kept arguing. The guy begged them not to ignore him since he had been there for half an hour waiting for them. The guy turned out to be Izumi's older brother, Iori. Iori and Tomoya used to be best of friends. They were both hardcore otakus and loved games too. But Tomoya cut him off because Iori didn't actually love anime for what it was. He loved it for the recognition it got him. Okay, normally I don't agree with Tomoya, but this time I do. But Iori didn't come to play around. He showed Sawamura his business card and told her that the company he works for wants her on their team because they had heard of what Tomoya was trying to create and they wanted to do the same thing. Damn, I wonder if she'll stay loyal or chase the bag. Sawamura was behind schedule, so she invited Tomoya over to help her. After a while, Katu came as well, but she thought it was a meeting for the game. When she saw how busy they were with nothing else to do, Katu decided to play a game called Little Rhapsody. Apparently, it was one of Tomoya's favorites growing up, his and Sawamura's. Tomoya attempted to issue his usual orders by yelling during the game, but Katu instructed him to stop being a softie and to get some work done. Actually, I was the one who called him a softie. Katu simply told him to go do some work. After a while, Katu left to go make food. In her absence, Tomoya asked Sawamura what she was going to do about the deal Iori gave her. She told him that although it's tempting, she wasn't going anywhere, and she was going to be his head designer till it was time to present the game, which made him very happy. Once they were done talking, Sawamura jumped to grab the controller. She was dying to play the game since Katu turned it on. It had been 8 years since she last played it after all. While she played, they talked about Comiket, the largest gathering of otakus in Japan. Just then, Katu entered with the food for everyone. The next day was the first Comiket of the year, and Tomoya and Katu were attending it. Katu was super excited to be among his people. They made their way inside, and that was when they bumped into Izumi, looking as cute as ever. She ran over to hug Tomoya and give him another dose of her huge melons. I think I might be into Izumi now, but I'm gonna need to know her age first. They helped Izumi unpack her stuff and settle down before the hall opened. While they were sitting, Tomoya decided to read the manga she was selling, and Izumi ranted to Katu about how she was never able to truly enjoy the Comikets because of various reasons. Once Tomoya was done reading it, he turned to Izumi and asked if she minded if all her books sold. Once she agreed, he took off somewhere. What kind of ballsy statement was that? Well, let's see if he can deliver. Tomoya ran to a printing office nearby and printed out a page of Izumi's manga. As soon as he got back, he opened it up and put it on a huge poster for everyone to see, while also yelling for everyone to come see. It wasn't long before they got their first customer, and within minutes of reading it, he wanted to buy a copy. And just like that, more people came around to buy until it was all sold out. Tomoya really delivered on his word, and he looked so excited doing the whole thing. Looks like he's not a complete buffoon after all. Once they were done at the table selling, Tomoya went outside to meet Sawamura, who came disguised just to buy a copy of Izumi's manga. Sawamura asked Tomoya what he thought of the manga, and Tomoya told her that if she had read it, then she knows how awesome it is. And it was from here Tomoya started to mess up. Sawamura asked him why he never got this excited for her books, or this motivated to do whatever it takes to sell them. Tomoya told her that she didn't need his help selling her books. Such a stupid answer. She then asked him who he thought was better, and he couldn't answer her directly either. Sawamura cried and ran off. Yeah, I take back what I said. Tomoya is the most complete buffoon there is. Sawamura was still upset with Tomoya, and Tomoya didn't know how to go about making things right with her. He woke up later that day to a very pleasant surprise. Utaha's big juicy melons were right in front of him, and she had on a sexy blue dress too, all while lying in his bed. How does this guy manage to make one hot girl cry one day, and then on the same day wake up with an even sexier girl in his bed ready to please him? This guy's riz needs to be taught in Harvard or something. After they all sat down, and Tomoya told Utaha what the problem was, Utaha's demeanor changed, and she started to insult him again for being an immature, insensitive idiot. Utaha made him realize just how bad the situation was. She told him that Sawamura felt like she had lost her position in his life, and even her dignity as a creator. And if Sawamura stayed hurt by what he did, it could affect her designing ability, and therefore make her unable to perform as well as she should for the project, or even at all. As soon as he heard this, he asked what he should do, and Utaha came up with a plan that normally would seem weird, but in the case of Sawamura, it was genius. Sawamura's family always hosted a party around the time of the fireworks show, so they based the plan on that night. Tomoya went all out for the plan too. He got all dressed up in an outfit from the Little Rhapsody game, and even climbed a tree to meet Sawamura. You know, when he tries, he can be quite sweet. And beneath all that tough act, Sawamura was really a hopeless romantic. They both ran off to their old middle school and stared at the newly renovated building for a couple minutes. After a while, Sawamura asked why he was coming to make things right with her now. But before Tomoya could get a word out, she asked him why he used the first game she introduced him to as the means to bring Izumi into anime and dating sims as well. She told him that since he loved her manga so much, and she was even his #1 disciple, he no longer had any need for her. Tomoya completely flipped the script and made a shocking reveal. He turned around and told Sawamura that he had been pissed at her for so many years. It was back in elementary school. They were closer than any other pair in the school, and yet one day, Sawamura just stopped talking to Tomoya for no reason. Tomoya told her that she was all he had. He even got bullied by guys and was unable to talk to people anymore because she, his only friend, left him. Damn. I had no idea Tomoya had it this rough. No wonder he turned out like this. But Sawamura didn't apologize or think that way. In fact, she told him that she had it worse because she had no choice but to stop talking to him and make new friends. Disgusting mentality. No wonder she's single and lonely. She said that after she stopped talking to him, she became so lonely as well, and so he should be apologizing to her. She even brought up the book thing again, asking why he didn't prefer hers to Izumi's. This time, he flat out told her that Izumi's was just better. They went back and forth with the argument until Sawamura told him that she was going to work hard and become his number one again. Until then, she wouldn't apologize. Tomoya ended up carrying her back home on his back. Poor Tomoya. The circle members were in a meeting, and Tomoya had started making the game. Tomoya proposed there be a little more sexy scenarios in the game, which Utaha was against at first, but she eventually agreed to it. Once again, I'd like to take time to appreciate the masterpiece that is Utaha's body. Truly a work of art made by the gods. If I were Tomoya, I'd be clapping those cheeks any chance I get. Once Tomoya got off the call, he went to shower so he could turn in for the night. And as he got into the shower, he saw two huge melons staring him in the face. The girl just casually walked by him and told him the shower was his. Who is this new girl, and why is she so hot? This new girl was Tomoya's cousin. She had come to stay for the weekend because she got into a fight with her dad and ran away from home. Tomoya couldn't even think straight while she was there. The amount of sexual appeal she had was insane. Even looking through the screen, I can feel the urge to clap those cheeks. Tomoya's cousin, Michiru, after noticing he was flustered, dragged him and put his head in between her thighs and placed her soft melons on his face. The next day, Tomoya was yawning while working on the game with Katu. Seeing his predicament, Utaha swapped places with her and offered to take over for him instead. This guy is just getting kitty left right and center. I think he is a god-tier Rizzler after all. He dozed off and said some stuff that made Utaha blush and want to record it. Wow, even in his sleep he's rizzing her up. What a legend. Sawamura came over and interrupted the whole thing. Then she continued working on the game with Tomoya. They were basically done with the game, all that was left was the music. Music is a very important factor in games. I can't count how many times I've enjoyed a game more because of its amazing BGM. But they didn't have anyone to handle the music. While they were contemplating, Michiru texted Tomoya about dinner, but Sawamura snatched the phone and read the texts. Before he knew what to say, Tomoya was tied up by Utaha. She began questioning him about his cousin and why she was living in the same house alone with him. Wow, these girls are actually jealous. Tomoya explained that they were born in the same hospital on the same day and have been friends ever since. And from that little explanation, Utaha formulated the rest of his life with her and immediately deemed her a threat to her childhood friend status. If Utaha wasn't a sexy goddess, I'd be scared of her. After the interrogation was over, Tomoya went back home and saw Michiru sleeping in his bed. She woke up and told him about her guitar. She had just gotten it from her house. Tomoya wasn't in the mood to deal with her, especially since she almost threw his prized figurines in the trash. I'm pretty sure if the garbage truck had come around and taken them, Tomoya would be in prison for murder. Tomoya took his towel and went to bath. But before he left, he told her not to use the amp to play so the neighbors wouldn't file a noise complaint. As he was done with the shower, Michiru of course didn't listen and played on the amp anyway. Tomoya ran upstairs to stop her, but as he got to the door, the sound of her music touched his heart. As soon as she was done, he came to her front and asked her to write the music for his game. Tomoya invited the rest of the circle to his house to introduce them to Michiru as the person doing their music. Michiru put him in a headlock for assuming she'd do it without hearing her reply first. Sawamura went red, seeing the way Michiru was so free with Tomoya. Utaha, on the other hand, was trying her best not to let her inner Kurama come out. Tomoya kept trying to convince Michiru, but Michiru said that she couldn't get along well with otakus. This made Utaha nearly have to get a mugshot, but she calmed down and continued to argue with her normally. Tomoya told her that since she was fine with him, she'd be fine with the rest of the gang, but Michiru didn't see Tomoya as an otaku. She saw him more as a guy she could rely on, and a potential clapper of her cheeks in the near future. After Michiru regaled them with tales of Tomoya as a kid, they all left. Michiru came out from the shower and she had Tomoya's dress shirt on, looking as sexy as Utaha, if I'm being honest. I think I might have a tough choice moving forward. Even Tomoya, as soon as he saw her, said he wanted her, and without wasting time, Michiru started removing buttons. Bruh, if my cousin looked this hot and she did this to me, let's just say we're gonna have lots of family meetings. But nah, Tomoya meant he wanted her in his circle to do his music. But Michiru flipped the script on him. She told him that she had her hands busy with her band, and her father was even willing to bless her band if she found a good manager. Tomoya told her he could find one for her easily, but she wanted him to be the manager. She told him that in his circle, everyone was out of whack. and not really focused on making the game, but in her circle, everyone was devoted to making music. Tomoya was lost. Her words shook his reality. The next day after school, Tomoya went home and faced the game immediately. At Sawamura's house, she and Katu were also pulling an all-nighter to work on the game. Sawamura asked Katu why she was putting so much effort into the game. She told her she had just been thinking about things. What a vague response. Night passed and the girls were exhausted from working. Katu got a call from Tomoya, so she went to pick it outside. They talked for a bit about how they were tired from working so hard, and that was when Tomoya's insecurities came up. He asked Katu if she was really interested in doing the game, and if their circle was really out of whack. Katu dodged the question and asked to meet at a restaurant. When they got there, Katu showed Tomoya the progress she made on the game by guiding his hand on the laptop. Tomoya was impressed, but he felt like she was doing too much for him, and it made him feel bad. That was when Katu finally reassured him that she was doing it because she wanted to and not because of anyone else. Tomoya felt happy hearing this and smiled. He also reassured her that he would try to make her into a heroine that tugged at everyone's heartstrings. But before she let go of his hand, she showed him a dialogue that she coded into the game. It said that she was in the same situation with her cousin as he was with his. After that was over, they both listened to Michiru's music. Once the song ended, Katu wondered if Michiru really had nothing to do with otaku culture. Within a week of being Michiru's manager, Tomoya had already booked them a gig to play at. Although they found out the next day that they were just the warm-up act, Tomoya told them that they could still move to higher places if they used their talents well. A little far off from the event center, Katu and Utaha were on their way to meet Tomoya and Michiru's band Icy Tail, when Sawamura decided to ditch them last minute and go to a cafe. This tsundere act of hers is becoming quite annoying. Utaha was upset that Tomoya didn't talk to them about any of this before setting it up, but Katu told her not to worry, and that Tomoya would figure everything out. They proceeded to enter the cafe and drag out Sawamura, who resisted, until Utaha hit her with multiple insults, calling her a pathetic excuse for a childhood friend. This made her finally simmer down and head to the event center. When they got there, they couldn't believe what they saw, and neither could I. Michiru was riding the hell out of Tomoya's cucumber, and doing it while in a cat costume too. Even seeing it now makes me want to call my girl over and give her cheeks some overdue clapping. But the situation was not quite what it seemed. Apparently, Michiru didn't know that her band was secretly an anime song cover band. They made her think the songs they sang were pop and trendy songs, and she was none the wiser. Tomoya then told her that he had asked for their permission, and they said it was okay for her to work on the song for his game. This Tomoya guy really is a manipulative monster, and I'm here for all of it. After Michiru processed what just happened, she went on stage and gave one hell of a performance. After the performance was done, she went backstage and was trying to gather herself after that unreal moment. Tomoya had helped her achieve her dream, and it was only going up from there. Tomoya then told her she had to hold up her own end of the deal and help make his dream come true. Before she could do that, she wanted to give him a special thank you. She leaned in close and took his hands. Damn, is she really about to make a man out of Tomoya? She paused at his face and then went down to his trousers. This girl is moving mad, yet I can't take my eyes off it. She did all that and then put him in a submission hold. Wow, so anticlimactic. And now I've got blue balls. Looks like I'm going to be making that call to my girlfriend after all. Screw you, Michiru. Katu walked back home with Sawamura and talked about how happy she was that Michiru was part of the circle. Sawamura stopped Katu for a minute and addressed her as Megumi instead. She told her that otaku friends who had spent a night working together shouldn't be so formal. Megumi agreed and smiled. Meanwhile, at Utaha's place, she was done with the final part of the story. The next day at Tomoya's place, everyone was there for the review of the game, and they all loved it. But a gloomy realization hit them all at once. They had only finished one route of the game, so all of that stress and sleepless nights for months just for one route of the game? Nah, I'd lose my brains. Everyone just went to sleep, because thinking about the work is just tiring. And so, they continued their journey of various ups and downs on the way to Comiket in 2 months. And there you have it. That was our recap, made with love for Saekano. Let us know if you want Season 2 recap in the comments below. And make sure to like and subscribe for more awesome anime content.